What's good, YouTube land? I've been seeing Legacy slowly show up on toy shelves, so happy hunting. But where to go? But how about an obscure G1 Decepticon? It's Legacy Iguanas. So here's the packaging. Got a picture of Iguanas' alt mode there. That very nice Legacy logo. Iguanas! There's a picture of Iguanas. There's pictures of Skywarp, a certain Insecticon, Iguanas, Dragstrip, whose name I forgot in a video. I don't know why Megatron is there. Megatron isn't in Legacy. Galvatron is. On the back. So, here is Iguanas. I like him. And he comes from the Pretender series, which was a line of little transformable robots inside bigger armor shells that they're pretending to be. Such as Iguanas right here, whose little dude could turn into a motorcycle or fit inside that. And yeah, they basically... Oh, I'm going to let you stare at that for a while. But they've turned the Pretender shell into the main robot mode. And that actually fits Iguanas very well, because from what I read, he is obsessed with lizards, or iguanas in this case. So him basically turning into his Pretender shell is completely appropriate. And they did, if you look at the picture, they did a fairly good job nailing the aspects. I would have liked maybe the shoulders to be black, but that kind of feels like the only thing, like, not as accurate. So, but other than that, well done. I'm going to take this weapon out of his hand. And he's a very cool Mr. Lizard. I like him quite a bit. He's purple and black. How can you go wrong? Isn't that right, Skywarp? Oh, Skywarp's not here. Leave a comment if you think I should review the core class Skywarp. And Rodimus, even though I don't really want those two figures. But I did really want this guy. Because I don't have any other iguanas in my collection. It's, again, very obscure character. Like, most of the other Pretenders ended up being in Titan's Return. No. Power of the Primes. No. Because they're the weapons. I don't have a Power of the Primes Prime Master anywhere near me. But like Boom Burst and all those guys. So the last time I think they did something like this, well, Revenge of the Fallen Bludgeon, and I believe the Thrilling 30 Skullgrin. But I don't have either of those, so we're just going to go with actual review of this guy. I think you've stared at that for long enough. Or maybe I should do a thing where stare at this if I'm not interesting. When am I ever interesting? But I quite like the design. It feels kind of like, I don't want to say Beast Wars, but I would completely understand if Iguanas was in Beast Wars. Actually, there is a Beast Wars Iguanas, but it's not the same character. Which is kind of how Beast Wars goes normally. Anyway, let's actually talk about the toy. First up to his very scaly head. The only part of him that really looks like an iguana. And then sort of like a dreaded iguana. Maybe a bearded iguana, or is that a bearded dragon? I think they're similar but different families. maybe. I like it. I kind of wish they painted his teeth because it's hard to tell, but he is like snarling with only one tooth exposed on each side and a slit where his mouth is. He does look appropriately pissed off though. Otherwise, he's got some nice gold and red. His belt, for some reason, looks Master of the Universe to me, like a He-Man belt or something. It's not enough, I guess, that the Legacy logo looks Master of the Universe. Iguanas has to be wearing a belt, but that is G1 accurate. I like all the detail. It does look a little bit like Scales, kind of leaning into the robotic iguana, but it could also pass off as some nice tech detail. What I really like is that the backpack is where all the kibble goes, basically. Like, it forms this really nice looking, even symmetrical backpack, which is not the case when you actually look at the guts inside. It looks really cool. It kind of looks like, I don't know, fans, like feet holes. Like, he could use this as a jetpack. It's also where he keeps his Decepticon signal, not signal symbol. Can you imagine like a Decepticon symbol, like the Batman symbol, just in the sky? You suddenly summon a Decepticon to destroy your town. Yeah, I can totally see that happening in like a comic book or a cartoon. Uh, Comparison, the only other two core class I have are Rat Trap and fucking I can't remember her name. There you go. I guess we have to talk about the pretty lame accessory. It's a claw laser thing. It's nice that it's in matching colors, and evidently it was molded in purple. And it has pegs and ports for both a 3mm and a 5mm peg. Hilariously, his hands on the top have a 3mm port, but on the bottom have a 5mm port. So if you want to, you can either stick it in the top of his hand, and those ports, they want to pass off as barrels for firing lasers. I kind of wish he had a port on the side of his hand to make it into like a proper convincing Wolverine-esque claw weapon, but unfortunately he can just plug into the bottom of his hand. It can kind of look dumb. Or plug it into the backpack. And freaking drop it again. Oh my god. Just stay in your home. That's your home. Go in your home. And you can't plug anything into the tiny little holes. At least nothing I have that fits. Because it's going to come up in a second when we get to alt mode. But first we have to get to articulation. His head is ball jointed, but you don't have a super range of motion just based on the shape of his head and his lack of having a visible neck. So you can get a tiny bit of motion, about that much. You kind of force it, you can go completely sideways, but don't know if that's a good idea. But unfortunately, limited neck, ball jointed shoulders, decent range until they're blocked by the backpack. Ball jointed elbow gives you your bicep swivel and your elbow bend. You got a waist swivel, which is nice. Hips are ball jointed, give pretty limited range, but you can kind of force it out of them. Go forwards, go backwards, not very, no, backwards that far. Yeah, decent, not great split, Actually, it's better than good. Split. Ball jointed knee. You don't have a thigh swivel, but the ball jointed knee acts as a pseudo thigh swivel, and a very nicely ball jointed ankle. Ankle. A ball jointed Curt ankle, which gives very nice pivot, rotation, and up and down movement. He is kind of what you expect for core class. Like, look at the other two I have and all the Legends class sitting around here for a different video. He is definitely kind of, well, the waist joint is kind of the only thing that puts him slightly above Rat Trap. And her name, I can't remember her name when it comes to core class. Could have used a wrist, but I understand with the limited amount of plastic, because they did have to hollow out just a tiny bit. So let's get to transformation and see just the ridiculousness of an iguana turning into a motorcycle. So you can start by hinging the backpack down and putting it all the way over his head, making sure it snaps into place to get enough clearance to cover his head. And there you have his hidden robot mode, the drone. Passes a decent Viacom drone, maybe. Not really, but it's not really anything. And then you can see on his backpack just how much effort went into making it look symmetrical. But you want to take this wheel and put it up like that, and take this one. They're both on ball joints. And rotate it downward so they look even. At this point, if you want, you can rotate the waist. It doesn't really matter what order you do anything. So we're going to take the arms and rotate them down so they sort of lock into that little tiny tab right there. You get your hair, and then plug the hands, at least one in the hand right now, into the wheel. There is a little notch on that, so that lines up with the groove below his thumb. So you want it to look like that. And do the same thing on the other side. On my copy of the toy, for some reason, the right one doesn't really like to tab in or securely. Like, you gotta, like, for some reason, push it and hold it, and then it'll stay there, but it is a very loose connection for some reason. I'm thinking the port on his hand's just a little too wide. So it kind of pops out with now sticking there. You kind of just have to force it and it'll eventually admit defeat. And then to the back, we have a little bit more stuff to do. We want to rotate the knee, rotate the foot, and fold the foot like that. And then we'll come in, plug it into that hole right there. And it'll also, the foot will plug into the wheel in two spots. That big port and that small port will both plug in, making sure it's secure. Do the same thing on the other side. And just like Glade said, plug it in, plug it in. And there you have a motorcycle. This thing is so adorably stupid. It fits perfectly into Transformers. Like, it gives me vibes of Wreck-Gar or even GoBot's Sidekill. Because he's just gripping his front tire with his hands and saying, please don't look at my hands. Please don't look at my barely changed robot mode. The only thing that's really hiding his hello. So yeah, there's nothing really incredibly impressive about the transformation. I kind of love it because of how silly it is, and just this concept of a Cybertronian iguana, robotic iguana turning into what I'm loosely calling a Cybertronian motorcycle. Like the only things that are revealed now are the struts that the wheels are attached to, which have a decent amount of nice detail. But yeah, he's just basically taking a nap in his robot mode while doing some very weird yoga. Like he's doing sort of downward dog, but also rotating his way. Like, I don't know. It's really goofy. Let me say that. If you care about intricate, amazing transformations, this guy's probably not going to be for you. But if you just love, I want to let's use the old cop out catchphrase, just a bit of fun. I think this guy works very well. Um, I like that the tail becomes this sort of seat area if somebody were ever to ride him. I kind of wish they'd made something to allow somebody to ride him. Because if I take Rat Trap, for example, I kind of have to, like, you can sort of sit. Actually, not the worst seat. Actually, that looks pretty to scale. That does look all right. Although, mind you, I don't see a situation where a Decepticon would allow a Maximal to ride him. So let's take her instead. There's some weird crossover timelines BS happening here. Oh, she can't really sit well because of her dino. Oh no, you just gotta find the right angle, sort of. Yeah, close enough. Rat Trap actually sat better, so never mind that. But yeah, we do have that port on top if you want to fire a laser. I'm not going to play the sound clip. And also, you do have 3mm ports for its hands. And that's pretty much it for playability. It does roll actually kind of well. And unfortunately, it doesn't stand up the best because there's no kickstand or anything. But if you do get it, like in the very specific sweet spot, which I am highly unlikely to get on a soft couch, like if I do it on my computer, I can almost get him. There, he's actually. Can you? Let me see. Let me. Nope. Just looking at my crotch. No, never mind. Never mind. It's sitting on my laptop. It's actually standing straight. So, I do recommend this guy. Final thoughts. He's goofy. He's not the most detailed transformation. Not the most creative. Well, creatively silly. And I can definitely see him being a cool toy for a kid because there's so few moving parts. Very easy to pick up and play, and hopefully not break anything off. I do kind of want to see like a Legends class Wreck-Gar out of this mold, or even Sidekill. But yeah, if you're looking for uh, well, complicated transformations, there are other places in Generations that are a bit more complicated. I'd like to get my hands on that Bulkhead or the Bumblebee movie Soundwave. Those are two examples that come to mind. But if you want a tiny little dude who's an iguana who turns into a motorcycle, yep, this is the only guy of that right now. So that must count for something, right? Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Maybe next time I'll actually come up with more iguana puns than none at all. But vroom vroom. I got nothing. Bye bye. Keep it weird.